Among those who have given the greatest impulse to the sublime science of astronomy, we find Copernicus, the son of a Polish baker; Kepler, the son of a German public house keeper, and himself the garçon de cabaret; D'Alembert, a foundling picked up one winter's night on the steps of the church of Saint-Jean-le-Rond at Paris, and brought up by the wife of the glazier; and Newton and Laplace, the one the son of a small freeholder near Grantham, the other the son of a poor peasant of Beaumont en Auge, near Honfleur. Notwithstanding their comparatively adverse circumstances in early life, these distinguished men achieved a solid and enduring reputation by the exercise of their genius, which although wealth in the world could not have purchased, the very possession of wealth might indeed have proved an obstacle greater even than the humble means to which they were born. The father of Lagrange, the astronomer and mathematician, held the office of Treasurer of War at Turin. But having ruined himself by speculations, his family were reduced to comparative poverty. To this circumstance Lagrange was in after life accustomed partly to attribute his own fame and happiness. "Had I been rich," said he, "I should probably not have become a mathematician." The sons of clergymen and ministers of religion generally, have particularly distinguished themselves in our country's history. Amongst them we find the names of Drake and Nelson, celebrated in naval heroism; of Wollaston, Young, Playfair, and Bell, in science; of Wren, Reynolds, Wilson, and Wilkie, in art; of Thurlow and Campbell, in law; and of Addison, Thomson, Goldsmith, Coleridge, and Tennyson, in literature. Lord Hardinge, Colonel Edwards, and Major Hodson, so honorably known in Indian warfare, were also the sons of clergymen. Indeed, the Empire of England in India was won and held chiefly by men of the middle class, such as Clive, Warren Hastings, and their successors, men for the most part bred in factories and trained to habits of business. Among the sons of attorneys we find Edmund Burke, Smeaton the engineer, Scott and Wordsworth, and Lord Somers, Hardwicke, and Dunning. Sir William Blackstone was the posthumous son of a silk mercer. Lord Gifford's father was a grocer at Dover. Lord Denman's a physician. Judge Telford's a country brewer. And Lord Chief Baron Pollock's a celebrated saddler at Charing Cross. Laird, the discoverer of the monuments of Nineveh, was an articled clerk in a London solicitor's office. And Sir William Armstrong, the inventor of hydraulic machinery and of the Armstrong Ordnance, was also trained to the law and practiced for some time as an attorney. Milton was the son of a London scrivener, and Pope and Southey were the sons of linen-drapers. Professor Wilson was the son of a Paisley manufacturer, and Lord Macaulay of an African merchant. Keats was a druggist, and Sir Humphrey Davy a country apothecary's apprentice. Speaking of himself, Davy once said, "What I am I have made myself. I say this without vanity, and in pure simplicity of heart." Richard Owen, the Newton of natural history, began life as a midshipman, and did not enter upon the line of scientific research in which he has since become so distinguished, until comparatively late in life. He laid the foundations of his great knowledge while occupied in cataloguing the magnificent museum accumulated by the industry of John Hunter, a work which occupied him at the College of Surgeons during a period of about 10 years. For not less than English biography abounds in illustrations of men who have glorified the lot of poverty by their labors and their genius. In art we find Claude, the son of a pastrycook; Giefs, of a baker; Leopold Robert, of a watchmaker; and Haydn, of a wheelwright; whilst Dogger was a snepainter at the opera. The father of Gregory VII was a carpenter; of Sextus V, a shepherd; and of Adrian VI, a poor bargeman. When a boy, Adrian, unable to pay for a light by which to study, was accustomed to prepare his lessons by the light of the lamps in the streets and the church porches, exhibiting a degree of patience and industry which were the certain forerunners of his future distinction. Of like humble origin were High, the mineralogist, who was the son of a weaver of Saint Just; Hotefai, the mechanician, of a baker at Orleans; Joseph Fourier, the mathematician, of a tailor at Auxerre; Durand, the architect, of a Paris shoemaker; and Gesner, the naturalist, of a skinner or worker in hides, at Zurich. This last began his career under all the disadvantages attendant on poverty, sickness, and domestic calamity, none of which, however, were sufficient to damp his courage or hinder his progress. His life was indeed an eminent illustration of the truth of the saying, that those who have most to do and are willing to work, will find the most time. Pierre Ramus was another man of like character. He was the son of poor parents in Picardy, and when a boy was employed to tend sheep. But not liking the occupation, he ran away to Paris. After encountering much misery, he succeeded in entering the College of Navarre as a servant. The situation, however, opened for him the road to learning, and he shortly became one of the most distinguished men of his time. The chemist Vauquelin was the son of a peasant of Saint-André-Turbedit, in the Calvados. When a boy at school, though poorly clad, he was full of bright intelligence. And the master, who taught him to read and write, when praising him for his diligence, used to say, "Go on, my boy. Work, study, Colin, and one day you will go as well dressed as the parish churchwarden." A country apothecary who visited the school, admired the robust boy's arms, and offered to take him into his laboratory to pound his drugs, to which Vauquelin assented, in the hope of being able to continue his lessons. But the apothecary would not permit him to spend any part of his time in learning. And on ascertaining this, the youth immediately determined to quit his service. He therefore left Saint-André and took the road for Paris with his haversack on his back. Arrived there, he searched for a place as apothecary's boy, but could not find one. Worn out by fatigue and destitution, Vauquelin fell ill, and in that state was taken to the hospital, where he thought he should die. But better things were in store for the poor boy. He recovered, and again proceeded in his search of employment, which he at length found with an apothecary. Shortly after, he became known to Fourcroy the eminent chemist, who was so pleased with the youth that he made him his private secretary. And many years after, on the death of that great philosopher, Vauquelin succeeded him as professor of chemistry. Finally, in 1829, the electors of the district of Calvados appointed him their representative in the Chamber of Deputies, and he re-entered in triumph the village which he had left so many years before, so poor and so obscure.